Wow, look at all these computers I got in front of me. Now, you know, the interesting thing about laptops is that different people need different types of laptops to do different things. Some of us need really heavy firepower, and some of us want it light and portable with a reduced feature set. All of these different types of laptops have very specific names. I want to go through all of these 5 different types so that you know them for the A+ exams. Let's start off with this guy right here. This is the standard laptop computer. Now, CompTIA defines a standard laptop computer as a computer that's going to be having somewhere in the area of about half a gig to 1 gigabyte of RAM. It's going to be running some form of mobile Intel processor. It'll have a 2.5-inch drive. It will have optical media. But the important thing here to appreciate is that this is just running regular Windows. There's nothing special about it. It might be 32-bit Windows, it might be 64-bit, but it's just running Windows. And that is a regular, good old laptop. Yeah, look at this beast. This is a desktop replacement. Not only does it weigh probably a solid, 12 pounds, a desktop replacement is going to boast a really big screen, usually in the area of up to 21 inches. A desktop replacement is going to have tons of RAM. It could have 4, 8, 16 gigabytes of RAM in it. It's going to be running the highest end of Windows possible. It's always going to be 64-bit, full-size keyboard, big 2 hard drives a lot of times, usually 2 sets of optical media. This is the no compromise type of system for basically somebody who wants to bring everything with them. This is a desktop replacement. This little fella right here is a netbook. Netbooks are distinct from other types of laptops in that a lot of times they don't run a typical Intel or AMD CPU. A lot of times they'll run an Intel Atom type processor. These are 32-bit processors. They run great. There's nothing wrong with them. They usually have very small amounts of RAM. In a lot of cases, they don't even have hard drives. They'll just use SD cards or solid-state drives for their storage needs. The other thing to keep in mind is that they tend to run very low-end version of Windows, like Windows Starter and stuff like that. Oh, and by the way, for the A+ exams, make sure you know low-end version of Windows, but reality, a lot of these guys run Linux. This beautiful little beastie right here is an Ultrabook. Okay, well, actually I'm lying. If you take a look, see the Mac logo? This is a Apple computer, but this guy, the MacBook Air, look how beautiful and skinny he is. He was the inspiration for a series of Windows-based laptops known as Ultrabooks. Ultrabooks are distinct in a number of ways that share with this guy right here. First of all, they're extremely thin and extremely light. By definition, all of their storage is going to be solid state. They lack optical media, but they're going to have plenty of RAM, a big screen, and a nice CPU to back it all up with. So what it sacrifices in storage, it makes up for in big screens, nice firepower, and lots of RAM. Now this is a tablet PC. Now you need to be careful here because a lot of times when we hear tablets, we're thinking of things like this fellow right here. And this is different. This is used as more of a mobile device, and we have episodes on mobile devices about this guy. But when we're talking about tablet PC, we are covering a very specific objective on the CompTIA A+ exams that talks about this type of fella. In particular, these actually predate what we call tablets now, and they're distinct in that in some way they can be treated as a tablet without a big keyboard. The important thing to distinguish these is that these will always use a stylus. Now, this guy's running just a regular version of Windows 7, but the big difference is that Windows 7 has a lot of features that make it tablet PC aware. So what I want to do is take a minute and let's take a look at some of the Windows 7 tablet features. All right, now what I have here is a Windows 7 system, and this is a real tablet PC. Now, when you have a real tablet PC, you get some control panel options that you wouldn't normally see. In particular, here do you see where it says Pen and Touch? Now, this is one of these few times where A+ cares about a difference between Vista and 7. In Windows 7, it's called Pen and Touch, In Windows Vista, it's called pen and input devices, but it still works the same way either way. So that is some of our settings. And then the other one that's added with Windows 7 is tablet PC settings. So I'm going to hit that one first. Now if we take a look at this, there's a lot of settings that we can do in here. The big thing we want to do, more than anything else, is go through the process of calibration. Keep in mind that we're using a stylus. So we're going to select pen input. And it's going to bring up this calibration screen. Anytime you're using a pen and it doesn't seem to be hitting where it's supposed to be, you have to go through this calibration process. It's a little bit slow, but it's what we need to do to make sure that whenever we put our pen down on the screen, it's hitting where we really want it to hit. All right, so that's calibration. Now, this is the keyboard that comes up. I'm going to close that for right now. So you can do a lot of different things. For example, if we want to configure a screen for pen input or touch input. Now in this case I only have one screen, so it's kind of silly, but I would select pen and would go, is this the one you want me to do it? I literally just hit it anywhere with my pen and it says okay, fine. All right, so that's really all we have to do in terms of tablet PC settings. Now under pen and touch, this is really more a matter of how do you want the pen to act when you're using it. So if I single tap my pen onto something, it's the same as a single click. Double tap, double click, press and hold is a right click, and you can configure all this stuff. You can also do some fun things. For example, you can use flicks, so you can have literally like scrolling and stuff like that can be handled just by flicking the stylus any direction you might want. It can handle automated handwriting recognition, so it has basically it's optical character recognition. Then these are touch features. In this case, what they're talking about, you're not using a stylus. You're actually using your fingers to do stuff. What's interesting is that it's not multi-touch. So those of us who've played with a lot of Macintosh products or late generation tablet systems like to be able to do multiple touch. At least the versions of Windows Tablet that are on the A+ exam don't have that feature. In a world where iPads and tablet computing is so popular today, it's funny to think about tablet PCs as being that popular. Well, you should think that way. They're extremely popular in areas, for example, medical and transportation. These are incredibly common, and the stylus isn't going anywhere soon. The only other thing to remember is that most of the configuration options you saw in control panel there will only show up if you actually install on a tablet PC. If you fire up your regular desktop system and look for those settings, they probably won't be there. You need to have a tablet to be able to see them all.